This podcast provides a very brief overview of the pricing issues involved for high-tech products. High-tech pricing is extremely complicated for many of the reasons we've covered in this class already. Certainly there's a rapid pace of change, which means product life cycles are short. Moore's law means that there's price pressure on every technology product. Network externalities mean that if companies price low, they can deploy their product more broadly to generate those network effects. Unit 1 costs mean that the cost of producing the very first unit, say software, is very high, but then digital distribution, the marginal costs of distribution, are near zero. Customer perceptions of costs and benefits are unknown, and with their anxieties, even when products are free, sometimes they're not willing to buy or try them. Competition with disruptive innovations that come in at low price points with good enough technology. All of these things mean that pricing is critically important for high-tech goods. The metaphor of a stool for pricing means that all three of the legs of the stool have to be evenly balanced in order to set a well-balanced price strategy. This means equal consideration of fixed and variable costs in running the business, knowledge of both direct and indirect competitors' pricing strategies, and understanding of customer perceptions of value. As far as the cost leg of the triangle goes, it's really important to know that continuing to price on a low price basis oftentimes is very difficult unless the company has a sustainable cost advantage. For example, Walmart, through its investments in technology, does have a sustainable cost advantage. But absent that, competing on the basis of a low price just drives margins down in an industry. Another way to compete on cost is to produce such a high volume of goods that the company can ride the experience curve. The experience curve is the idea that per unit costs decline every time accumulated volume doubles, which is what we see here on these graphs. With respect to electric vehicles, many industry experts believe that Toyota is so far along on the experience curve with volume of sales in the electric vehicle market that it will be impossible for U.S. car companies to catch up on their low variable cost of doing business, which allows Toyota to be profitable while U.S. car companies are not. Competition we've talked about previously in terms of understanding both direct and indirect competition. And the cross-price elasticity of demand essentially looks at factors such as the price of gasoline or diesel and how that affects demand for other products that may be substitutes or complements. Customer perceptions of value provide a ceiling above which companies should not charge, and customers value both product benefits, the functional benefits, which are the product features and attributes, operational benefits that increase the efficiency of the product over time, financial benefits that allow a company to lease a product to generate a lower cost, and also personal benefits in terms of avoiding risk or being the first to own something. The denominator of customer perceptions of value is the cost, both the monetary cost as well as the non-monetary costs. Hence, value equals benefits divided by costs. From a customer perspective, they use a reference price to determine what is reasonable, where this reference price essentially is their expectations for what they're willing to pay based on their prior experience or what competitors' current prices are. Total cost of ownership is a strategy that can be used when a company's products are more expensive relative to other competitors. So in the electric vehicle market, for example, even though the outlay for an electric vehicle may be higher than for an internal combustion vehicle, the fact is the lower costs of fuel over time and lower maintenance costs means that total cost of ownership for an electric vehicle may be lower. For customer-oriented pricing, there's a three-step model that is typically followed. And this three-step model is based very closely on how customers use and value the product, which of course is based on segmentation. The implication of customer-oriented pricing is that this customer perspective is critical in product development early in the process and in the process of market segmentation. A second important topic in pricing refers to the technology pricing paradox, which means with the rapid pace of price declines, how can a company be profitable in light of falling prices? We know that profit equals total revenue minus total costs, and given that prices fall over time, for a company to be profitable, they either have to grow quantity of sales more quickly than prices falling, or they have to squeeze out costs in order to maintain profitability. This technology pricing paradox is addressed by Chris Anderson in one of his great books about the future of business is free. He essentially offers 6 pricing models that a company can use in order to maintain profitability in light of this downward pressure on prices. Note that these models are not in the book explicitly because our book came out just at the time Chris Anderson was writing this. A cross-subsidy essentially says customers pay for one product, for instance, the cell phone, but the price of that phone is subsidized by an ongoing service or subscription to something else. In marketing, we sometimes call this captive product pricing, but it's also known as razor and blade pricing, where Gillette essentially gives away the razor and makes the money on blades. We also see this in the printer market, where the cost of ink is quite a bit higher than the cost of the printer. Another model for free products, for instance when we use Google products for free or Facebook, is to sell your eyeballs to a different client, and that would be the advertisers. It's also possible to make money on ancillary or complementary products. Airlines increasingly are making money by charging extras for food and luggage. Musicians make money on concerts, t-shirts, and other ancillaries other than the music itself, which may be available for free on their website. A labor exchange essentially is you can get a low price or free goods, but then marketers essentially use your data that you provide in exchange. And we see this used in conjunction with the advertising model. Finally, a freemium essentially says there are 2 different versions of the product, a free version and a premium version that has full functionality. And Chris Anderson argues that 1% paid subscribers can subsidize up to 99% of people who use the product for free. How do these models compare with what we have in the book? Well, certainly it's important for a company in light of falling prices to make sure that its costs fall faster than prices. In addition, it's really important that they sell more units over time, but they can also avoid commodity markets or that downward pressure on price through ongoing innovation. This requires nimbleness and speed in getting products to market to maintain that competitive edge. What we also offer in the book is that companies can find new uses for products. This is something that Intel has worked on religiously to try to increase the use of chips and electronics in a wide variety of product categories. Offering the whole product essentially means ancillaries like we saw earlier, and product derivatives or price lines essentially offer free versions, medium price versions, and expensive versions. Apple does this with some of their products, for example, with the iPod when they had the Nano, the Shuffle, etc. Long-term relationships with customers to focus on lifetime value is another way to go, and we see this both with captive product pricing and advertising. And smart pricing essentially means adjusting the price of products in real time based on demand. Amazon does this through the use of cookies, and they don't like to advertise it. Airline websites do this as well, that if you're more likely to travel between certain cities, you're less likely to get a discount, which really violates the notion of treating your best customers with the lowest prices. sometimes best customers don't need a price incentive to buy, and therefore dynamic pricing charges them full fares or higher fares. Finally, oftentimes in high-tech industries, companies don't actually sell products or services. What they try to do is either sell their technology in the form of a patent or know-how, or even sell their company. This is very difficult because we have to value the know-how independent of knowing what the market actually will be. And this outright sale of know-how assumes that the net present value of the technology can be estimated. And because this is so difficult, oftentimes these sales of know-how are not consummated, and licensing sometimes is used instead, where we get a percentage for each unit that's sold. This captures pricing complexities in a nutshell for you for this class.